The Dao De Jing, Dao De Jing, sometimes rendered as the Tao Te Ching, is a short text of 81 chapters written in classical Chinese, attributed to a figure called Laozi, the old master. No one knows if he was a single person or a tradition. What we do know is that the text is approximately 2,500 years old, and chapter 3 is one of its most misread, most unsettling passages. It is about what a good ruler does not do. Bu shàng xián, shimin bu zhēng, bu bi nan de zhai huo, shimin bu wei dao, bu jian qi yu, shizin bu luàn, shi sheng ren zhai zhai, su kai zin, shi kai fu, bu kai zhai qiáng kai gu, chom shimin wu zhai wu yu, shi fu zhai ji bu gan wei wu wei se wu bu zhai. In English, do not honor the exceptional, and people will not compete. Do not prize rare goods, and people will not steal. Do not put desirable things on display, and people's minds will not be disturbed. This is how the sage governs. He empties their minds, fills their bellies, weakens their ambitions, strengthens their bones. He keeps the people always without cunning and without desire. He ensures that those who are clever do not dare to act without acting, and nothing goes ungoverned. The passage opens with a provocation. In Laozi's time, the dominant political tradition, associated with Confucius, held that good governance meant elevating men of talent and virtue. Promote the worthy. Let merit rise. Chapter 3 says the opposite. Do not honor the exceptional. Do not prize the rare. This is not laziness or cynicism. It is a diagnosis. When a society singles out the exceptionally talented and publicly rewards them, it creates a tournament. Everyone else is implicitly ranked below. The result is not inspiration. It is competition, anxiety, the grinding need to distinguish yourself. Laozi is watching what the reward system does to everyone who doesn't win it. The same logic applies to rare goods. When a culture agrees that certain objects are precious, that they confer status, that having them makes you someone, you have created the conditions for their theft. Not because people are innately dishonest, but because you have built a world where those objects matter enormously. The desire is manufactured. The crime follows the desire. And then, do not put desirable things on display, and minds will not be disturbed. This is not about suppressing beauty or hiding art. It is about the particular agitation that comes from being constantly shown things you cannot have, from living inside an endless demonstration of what you are lacking. Then comes the famous 4-part formula, and here the text gets genuinely difficult. Empty their minds, fill their bellies, weaken their ambitions, strengthen their bones. This has been read as a blueprint for keeping people docile, too satisfied with food and physical health to think about anything larger. That reading is not wrong to notice, and the text has been used that way. Any serious engagement with this chapter has to sit with that discomfort. But there is another way to hear it. Minds are emptied of what? The text has already told us. Cunning schemes, competitive ranking, the constant hunger for status and rare things. Ambitions are weakened. But which ambitions? The ambitions manufactured by a system that tells people to want what they cannot have, to become what they are not, fill their bellies, attend to actual physical need rather than manufactured symbolic need, strengthen their bones, health, not performance. The contrast Laozi is drawing is between real life and a kind of collective hallucination, a society running on artificial scarcity, artificial prestige, manufactured desire. The sage governs by not feeding that hallucination. Whether this is wisdom or paternalism is a genuine question, and the text does not resolve it cleanly. What it does is insist that a great deal of what we call civilization is a mechanism for producing restlessness. Then, ensure that those who are clever do not dare to act. This is one of the most contested lines. One reading. Keep the schemers checked. Those with the sophistication to manipulate systems, to exploit loopholes, to manufacture advantage. If the conditions for their activity are removed, they will not act, because there is nothing to exploit. Another reading, which some scholars prefer, even the genuinely wise, if they truly understand, will refrain. Wisdom, at a certain depth, looks like restraint. And finally, act without acting, and nothing goes ungoverned. This is Wei Wu Wei, doing without doing, the central concept of the entire Dao De Jing. It appears here applied to governance, but it runs through every domain the text touches. The idea is not passivity. It is the absence of the kind of forcing, meddling, overriding that generates friction. A system that requires constant intervention has already failed in some upstream way. If the conditions are right, things regulate themselves. What a person might carry away from this chapter is not a policy prescription. It is a question: what in your own environment, internal or external, is generating desire by putting things on display? What restlessness have you inherited rather than chosen? There is something here about the difference between what you actually need and what the tournament you have been placed in tells you to want. The text does not tell you to withdraw from the world. It asks you to notice the mechanism. The unsettling thing about chapter 3 is that it refuses to be comfortable from either direction. It cannot be domesticated into a simple self-help message, and it cannot be dismissed as a manual for control. It sits between those readings and stares. The next chapter is chapter 4.